Good morning. This regular meeting, Lone Star College System Board of Trustees is now called to order at 10 a.m. If we would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll lead the pledge today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll now do roll call. Trustee Saldivar is absent today. Trustee Wilson? Thank you. Trustee Wilson. Trustee Broussard? Trustee Stoma?
I'm here.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Murillo?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Murillo. Trustee Vogt?
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Kane?
Here.
Thank you. Mike Sullivan present. We have a quorum. Chancellor, can you certify that the notice for this meeting has been posted?
Yes, Chairman. I certify that the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the law, and I just have two announcements. So we also, today's disaster alert day, and so we don't know when a disaster alert may come through. And my understanding that is on cell phones, it'll sometimes bypass silent mode. So if that happens to happen during the board meeting, just please do your best to silence your phone, and it's not a real emergency. They're just testing the system. And so just wanted to make sure everyone aware of that. And Chairman, I also wanted to give the board, and especially the public, because the board already has noticed that the administration is requesting that actions items number 5 and 7 be pulled for separate consideration from the consent agenda for today's board meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor. So noted on the pulled items. Ms. Barnett will now move to public comment. Is anyone signed up to offer a public comment?
Yes, we have Dr. John Bergdorf in person.
Okay, thank you. Please feel free to come forward, sir. Welcome. In accordance with board policy, each speaker is allowed to speak for up to 5 minutes. There is a timer on the podium with lights. When the light turns red, your time has expired. As a reminder, Lone Star College System policy states that the board may not respond to citizens' questions or comments on subjects not noticed on the agenda, except to cite existing policies or state factual information. Please proceed, sir. Good morning.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. And thank you, board. It is a pleasure to see you all today. I am Dr. John Bergdorf, president of the American Federation of Teachers at Lone Star College. What the chancellor just said actually takes care of what I was going to talk about, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. Today, I'm coming on behalf of the union with a request, which has just been announced, related to the agenda. We would like to respectfully ask that action items 5 and 7 be pulled from the consent agenda for the board to discuss and consider publicly in open session. Both items involve the purchase of new properties. Action item number 7 relates to the purchase of a medical building to replace the LSC North Harris Health Professions Building on Red Oak Drive. Action item 5 relates to the purchase of a building in the Greens Point area for purposes that are not specified in the agenda. Together, these two action items represent an expenditure of just over $9 million. Let me hasten to say that the union does not oppose these actions, nor do we support them. We take no position on either action item at this time. However, we believe that these proposals are of sufficient interest to Lone Star taxpayers, employees, and students that they merit public discussion and debate. All stakeholders will want to fully understand how these purchases serve the strategic goals and key performance indicators that have been adopted by the system. For taxpayers, previous statements have implied that the completion of Magnolia Center represented the end of physical expansion of college facilities for the reasonable future. Taxpayers, we believe, will be supportive of additional purchases if they hear a transparent conversation about what situations and needs have changed to necessitate additional expansion. Our most prominent concern as a union is for Lone Star employees. Action item 7 clearly implies that health science employees from North Harris can expect a transfer. In the case of action item 5, the impact on employees is unclear, since the purpose of the purchase in Greens Point is not specified. Will new employees be hired? Will current employees be required to relocate? If so, which ones? Will job duties change? Will the facilities be safe and accessible? Especially with costs for fuel and childcare rising rapidly, employees will want to know how this purchase will affect them. Students will also want to know whether these purchases will affect them because they may impact the accessibility of classes and other services that they need, particularly because transportation and scheduling are critical concerns for most of them. We hope that if action items 5 and 7 are moved from the consent agenda to public discussion in open session, concerns will be alleviated. We especially hope that the discussion will clarify the college's rationale for the purchase in action item 5, which is not specified in the action item itself. Taxpayers, employees, and students will value the transparency, and hopefully board members will feel better informed in making these decisions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Ms. Barnett, any additional speakers?
No additional comments, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett. We'll now move to approval of the minutes. Now time for approval of the minutes of the March 5th, 2026 regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes? I have a motion by trustee Wilson. May I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by trustee Mesa. I'll do a roll call vote. And for the record, Chancellor, I'm not going to call trustees who are not present. So the two that are absent rather than calling them every time. Okay. Thank you. Trustee Wilson?
Okay.
Thank you. Trustee Stoma?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Murillo?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Vogt?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Kane?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote yes as well. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. We'll now move to special reports and announcements. Chancellor Castillo, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to begin by asking Mr. Howard to come up to the podium, please. So Mr. Howard is our new interim Vice Chancellor of Student Success. He is taking over for Dr. Napolis. He is a higher education leader with nearly 20 years of experience in student success, institutional effectiveness, and community engagement. His experience includes roles as Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Services, Dean of Student Development, and Interim Vice President for Student Success at Lone Star College Kingwood, and Director of Student Engagement and Leadership at Mary Grove College in Detroit. He spent 15 years at Ford Motor Company in customer service, procurement, and material planning and logistics. He holds an MBA from Baker College and a Bachelor of Arts in Communication from St. Mary's College, where he was a scholar athlete. He also completed the Institute for Administrators in Catholic Higher Education at Boston College. He's known for a leadership approach centered on serving students and a focus on shared responsibility for student success across the academic community. Welcome, Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Chancellor Castillo. Chair Sullivan, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Castillo, Chancellor's Cabinet, and to our guests, good morning. I will be brief and I will be gone. Thank you to Dr. Napolis. Thank you to Vice Chancellor Nancy Molina and the entire Student Success Division. My values are directly aligned with the mission, the vision, and the philosophy of this institution. In fact, our institution. I operate within the policies and the procedures which govern our institution. My practice is informed by theory, and theory must always inform my practice. As you have heard, my strengths are operational practices in making them better. And as a result, our people become better and the institution becomes better and stronger. On a personal note, I am a girl dad. I have twin girls. At birth, one was 3 pounds, 1 ounce. The other was 1 pound, 5 ounces. Now they are 15. When I started Lone Star College, they were 2 years old. They made me these bracelets, and I wear these bracelets every single day. They told me, don't wear a watch. Wear these bracelets because when you look down at your wrists, you'll always know what time it is. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to your service in your interim role. Chancellor's Cabinet.
Actually, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Pardon me. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll be quick and also we'll be gone. So we had the employee award ceremony on March 27th. Chairman, you were there. Trustee Wilson was there and Trustee Mesa was there. I want to thank you on behalf of all of the employees for attending that. It really is significant when board members come to that event. So thank you on behalf of the administration. For forthcoming events, we have the Step Up and Show Out Step Show, a Divine Nine step show on April 10th from 6 to 9:30 p.m. at the M.L. Campbell Educational Center. And this year it is Friday night. So for those of you that are like, I can't go on a school night, no excuse this year. It's on Friday night. So we'll see you there. It really was it's been one of the highlights of the last few years that I've been chancellor. We also have the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship Luncheon on April 24th of 2026 from 11 to 1. And that is in the System Office, the Woodlands, Stephen C. Head PhD Building in Ballrooms 1 and 2. And let me just stop right there, actually. So once again, this institution leads the country and the state in number of Jack Kent Cook semifinalists recipients with 19. And what's really impressive this year is that every single college has at least one. And so I'd like to give those folks a round of applause, please. So trustees, if you could make it to that scholarship luncheon, we would love to have you. We have really great scholars at this institution. And speaking of, this year, you will recall that last year we had some of the Jack Kent Cook scholars come and also our Barry Goldwater scholarship recipient come. And this year, we have produced 2 Goldwater scholars. And the Barry Goldwater Scholarship is the most prestigious undergraduate STEM scholarship in the country. And it was established by Congress in 1986. And just to give you an idea, because to be quite candid with you, coming from sort of the legal and operations side, I'm learning about all this like everyone else. So I asked a few questions. So there are 1,485 applicants from 482 institutions. 454 scholarships were awarded, and LSE was awarded 2 of them. Only 243 of the 4,200 U.S. institutions produced a Goldwater Scholar this year. And that, by the way, includes both 4 years and community colleges. So Lone Star College's category of having 2, we stand alongside Princeton, Yale, Northwestern, and UT Austin with 2 scholars each. And so we are the only community college in the entire country that has 2 scholars this year. The other 3 community colleges each produced 1 scholar. So this is a really big testament to things that you've heard me say year after year, where I say that our colleges, our students, and our faculty can hang with anyone, right? And so I think it's a really big testament to the work that's happening in the Honors College under the direction of Dr. Catherine Caruso and several very dedicated faculty. Our new Dr. Rincones, you're coming into a prestigious honors college and international education program, and Dr. Keshvala. So congratulations again. Oh, I forgot to mention who they were. Sebastian Mercano from Sci-Fair and Aaron Pergler from UP are each receiving that. And so congratulations to them. Yes, go ahead and give me. We also had 2 additional nominees, Alvin Andrade from Kingwood and Milagro Salinas from Montgomery. And again, special recognition again to Dr. Caruso. If you ever talk to Dr. Caruso about the Honors College and International Education, it's a calling, not just a job for her. And so it's obvious that she and her staff are very dedicated. And special thanks again to also Professor Aurora Lugo and our dedicated STEM faculty whose mentorship and commitment made this possible. So again, we are, as Trustee Wilson likes to say, we are a premier institution, objectively speaking. We have the Lone Star College Foundation Star Gala on May 2nd, 2026 from 6 to question mark. It says 6 from 9 here, but live a little people, 6 to question mark at the Woodlands Waterway Marriott. And finally, trustees, you have the list of all the commencements and graduations that we have going on from May 9th through the 16th. And so hope to see as many of you there. You know, that is the reason that we are here. It's not how many students we enroll, it's how many students we graduate. And for the third year in a row, we're going to have record graduation numbers. So thank you, Chairman. I think that concludes. And let me make sure. Yes, I'm done, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was not trying to rush you, I promise. Okay. Next on the agenda is Chancellor's Cabinet, Vice Chancellor, Marketing and Communication, Dr. Deidre Prince, if you will come forward. Thank you.
Brief and gone. That's going to be the mantra of the day. Good morning, Chairman Sullivan, board members, Chancellor Castillo, and esteemed colleagues and guests. Today, it is my pleasure to be sharing with you our latest marketing strategy focused on our student voices. We are now 97,221 students strong. These students attend our 8 campuses in everything from GED classes to certificate and workforce programs, transfer degrees, and more. And their backgrounds are just as varied, with traditional students, first-time and college students, veteran students, international students, and adult learners. As we approach the milestone of 100,000 students being served by our system, it's the perfect time to reflect on who those students are and why they choose to come to Lone Star College. Today, I will be sharing with you some of our amazing student stories in their own words about what coming to Lone Star College has meant for them. We start at our flagship institution, Lone Star College North Harris, with Jason Sierra, a U.S. Army veteran and machining student graduating this summer. He said, "I enrolled in Lone Star College to earn an associate degree and prepare for a trade when I transitioned out of the military. My experience has been amazing. The teachers are very helpful, and they train us on the machines where we are learning and perfecting the craft." Moving to Lone Star College Kingwood, we have Denise Thomas, a first-generation college student in the LVN program and working on her AAS degree. She's on track for a fall 2027 graduation and intends to go into the BSN program at LSC Tomball. She shared, "My Lone Star College experience has influenced me every day, shaping the person I am becoming and the future I am creating. This journey has taught me the power of resilience, perseverance, and the impact of mentorship. Thanks to Lone Star College, I approach life with confidence, gratitude, and determination." Speaking of Lone Star College Tomball, we have Frank Atienza Coronado, an international student and computer science major graduating this spring. He shared, "Lone Star College has helped me develop a strong academic character, acquire irreplaceable skills, and participate in life-altering opportunities I once thought out of my reach. The interactions I have shared with faculty and students have shaped the scholar I am today." At Lone Star College Montgomery, we have Camelia Sanchez Petzold, another international student graduating with her associates in psychology and intending to transfer to work on her bachelor's degree. She says, "Matricularme en Lone Star College ha sido una de las mejores decisiones de mi carrera académica. En LSC Montgomery, los recursos y las oportunidades, especialmente a través de las organizaciones estudiantiles, han apoyado mi crecimiento como inmigrante, estudiante y líder. Mi trayectoria me ha enseñado a agradecer los desafíos que antes parecían imposibles, porque contribuyeron a forjar el éxito que tengo hoy. So enrolling at Lone Star College has been one of the best decisions of my academic career. At LSC Montgomery, the resources and opportunities, especially through student organizations, have supported my growth as an immigrant, a student, and a leader. My journey has taught me to be grateful for the challenges that once seemed impossible to overcome because they helped shape the success I stand on today." At Lone Star College Sci Fair, we see a familiar face in Bree Brown, who spoke to you last week or last month about her experience traveling to DC. She is an adult learner and nursing student expecting to graduate next spring, and she shared this about her journey. After returning to a collegiate education after a 10-year career in behavioral health, I truly did not expect to have a traditional college experience. Yet what I found at Lone Star College was the perfect landing. This college is robust. The opportunities have challenged my thinking beyond the classroom, and the professors, staff, and leadership are actively invested in our success. At Lone Star College University Park, we have LaToya McGraw, a student earning her GED this spring and a future Lone Star College medical radiology student. She shared, Lone Star College became more than a school to me. It became a place of healing and hope. With the encouragement of my professors and the support of the campus community, I found the strength to earn my GED and move forward toward a future in medical radiology. At Houston North, we have Jeremiah Perez. He is an offshore worker and welding student graduating this summer. And here's what he had to share. Lone Star College has given me more than just an education. It's given me purpose, and I will never forget that. It has helped me find stability in a time of uncertainty, showed me that I'm capable of more than I ever thought, and gave me the tools to build a future I can be proud of. Because of Lone Star College, I'm not just working toward a degree. I'm building a new way of life. And finally, at Lone Star College Online, we have Christine Moffitt, who's an adult learner as well, earning an AA degree this summer. And she said, my experience at Lone Star College has given me a sense of pride, direction, and confidence I didn't have before. It's shown me that it's never too late to start over. This journey has been more than an education. It's been a new beginning. So as you can see, these students represent the rich tapestry of Lone Star College system, and those words they shared resonate. Encouragement, confidence, gratitude, pride, purpose, healing, hope, stability, the perfect landing, but also the perfect launch. Now, this won't be the last time you see these faces and hear these stories, as we're now sharing them through our broader marketing efforts. Rather than paying for outside talent as we have in the past, we're looking inward to celebrate and compensate our own students and their authentic lived stories that show that anyone out there who wants more than what they have today can achieve it here at Lone Star College. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prince. If you don't mind, stand by for a second. We'll see if trustees have any questions. Trustee Murillo, Dr. Kane, Mr. Mesa, Trustee Stoma, Trustee Vogt, and Trustee Wilson. All good. Keep up the great work. Thank you and congratulations to our students. Next on the agenda is faculty representative, Professor Hilton LaSalle. Please come forward to the podium, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, board members, Chancellor. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to share with you the great work that our faculty members are doing here at Lone Star College outside of the classroom. There was a video I wanted to show that talked about an interview with artist Stephen, the president and CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters, who shared a report. The report is titled "A Future Built on Mentorship." But because of the sake of time, I'm just going to highlight some of the major points. And so he talked about mentoring as a form of social infrastructure, talked about some of the benefits of mentoring. 30% of kids who are mentored are more likely to attend college, earn 15% more, close the economic gap. And for every $1 that is invested in the mentoring programs, $3 is paid back to the public. He also talked about mentorship, how it reduces incarceration, substance abuse, and absenteeism. One of the statements that he said at the end that was really, really profound is, he says something that we all can do, something that's very simple. So I definitely wanted to make sure that we highlight the definition, and this is my use of AI. But we can all go back and look at Webster and AI later. But I want to spend a little time on Vincent Tinto, student integration theory, which talks about faculty involvement as it contributes to student success, particularly both inside and outside the classroom. I also want to reference my study, my dissertation, where a majority of the participants shared that it was that faculty, that teacher, that student that went beyond the role of their job that had a huge impact on them being successful. So I reached out to my faculty colleagues to help me identify faculty that were mentoring on their campuses. And I asked them the following 5 questions. What inspired you to mentor students? If you can share an impactful statement that a student may have shared with you, why do you mentor outside of your role as a faculty? And then what keeps you mentoring when you're busy and you have additional workload? And then last but not least, are you mentoring in any campus program? So definitely want to start here at with Dr. Green over at Sci-Fair. She shared that this is a personal one for me. She said, my biggest regret is not mentoring in what I truly wanted to study. If I can help a student avoid the same fate academically, it is worth every minute. Next, we had Dr. Jenkins share some statements from some students. She said, one of my former students changed the major to history, pursuing a doctorate degree. Also majored in history now at the University of Houston downtown, and some other students have participated in summer programs at Johns Hopkins University. Next, Professor Raoul also shared some statements from students as well. Students have gone on to graduate their master's degree and mail handwritten letters back. Students attending Texas A&M, University of Houston downtown that are staying in touch, and also students that are going on to serve our military. Next, I want to highlight Dr. West over at Houston North, who mentors in our Student Success Institutes. She shared that a female student once told her she only came to school to get a refund check, but now she wants to get her bachelor's degree. She also shared that had she had a mentor, she believed that she would have had a smoother college experience. And staying with Houston North, I want to highlight another colleague of mine, Professor Julaine Selle. She said, being a supportive and positive influence in their lives is something that I value deeply. She also shared that it helps her grow as a teacher, as students share their thoughts, concerns, and questions, which allow her to see college through their perspective. And Dr. Newton also shared a letter that was written and shared from a mentee. It says, thank you. I could write it 1,000 times. When I was breaking down, you were there for me. I will never forget the support that you've shown me, and I am sincerely a better person because of your guidance. And Professor Gloria Kessler, mentors over in the Mavericks and Recovery Program, she shared that several students and staff have showed how much they appreciate her creating a safe space for them to talk about things that are going on in their lives. Dr. Malachi over at Montgomery, he said it's a rewarding experience to mentor students, particularly honor students who have research papers, who he's seen those ideas blossom into papers that were worth publishing in journals. He said when he get an email saying that a student has an internship or is competing in a science fair, it's all positive vibe for the community we serve in the future generation. And then Professor Allen over at North Harris, I love this one. She said, in my office, I have a large bulletin board full of pictures of former mentees who have successfully gone on to be doctors, dentists, and scientists working in the field. She said, when I feel discouraged, I just look up at their smiling faces. And then Professor J, he said, to encourage my students not to repeat my sins, he said he attended 5, 6 different institutions and flunked out of them, and he make it a point to show them his GPA while he was in school. And he says he keeps a box of Kleenex in his office and in his classroom, and he makes herself available to speak with students as much as possible. And then Dr. Ward, mentors over in the professionalism series. Student wrote, I want to thank you again for taking time to meet with me and guide me through the right direction this past Wednesday. She said she get to pay it forward, develop confidence, character, and relational skills that will serve them throughout their lives. And I love this one too. Professor Garcia shared, mentoring students is probably one of the most important parts of my job as an educator. I take it seriously and I commit myself to making time for it. Without students, I am nothing. And then Professor Serrata, she also shared a written letter from a student. Student said she goes above her role and truly cares for those that cross her path. She has a gift to connect with everyone and loves what she does. She shows up even on her hard days and stay true to what she says. And Professor Green mentors in the Life Path program over at Tomball. She said, throughout her career in education and leadership, I have seen how guidance and encouragement and accountability can transform students. And she also shared that mentoring is important to her because it allows her to invest beyond the classroom. I love this one too. Professor Vanessa Myers, she said, I firmly believe that representation matters. As a Latino in STEM, we account for only 4 to 6% of women in STEM. She said, I identify as Latina. I want students to see that their current financial situation does not define them. And then last but not least, I want to highlight my current mentees, Professor Jonathan Caesar. He mentors he works as a professor of psychology at Lone Star College, Houston North. He was one of the founding members for Brother. And you can see that young man in the bottom left corner over there who hasn't aged much over the years, Dr. Lambert. But Jonathan recently told me that he said, I want to get one of those PhD things. And so I'm going to work with him on that. Also, speaking of PhDs, Professor Jacoby Bastrom, he's a professor in our EDUC 1300 program. He is also an advisor in our Student Success Institute, and I'm proud to say he's scheduled to defend his proposal on April 17th, and I'm also proud to say that I serve on his dissertation committee. Thank you again, Chairman and Lone Star College and Chancellor and Board, for the opportunity to allow faculty to do the things that they truly enjoy.
Thank you, Doctor. Stand by if you would just a second, see if we have any comments.
want to
Trustee
be
Stone,
gone.
Trustee Vogt, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Vogt, I'm sorry.
I appreciate uh, the steps that you took to bring this to us. This is really eye-opening. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vogt. Trustee Murillo. Trustee Kane.
Just want to say thank you for telling us about the mentoring program. I'm a big believer in the value of mentoring. In the past and even now, I mentor students K-12 as well as post-secondary, and I'm just a big believer in the positive value that mentoring has. So thank you for your report.
Chair, can I
Yes, sir.
say something? May I reconsider?
Yes, sir.
Just briefly, you never know what impact you're going to have on someone else's life. And as a professor and instructor who cares, that impact is great. If you were to could follow your students through the next X number of years of their life, you'll find out that the impact is great. And I hope each of the faculty, each of the support staff and student success realize that this is huge. I mean, someone told me that I think our district's as large as the state of Delaware. Is that true? Point is we have a huge influence on this community, this city, this Tri-County area. And we just need to stay aware of that and know that you can change things. You can collectively change things by caring and making an impression on the students and the people you teach as you go forward. And it's commendable. As I say it, it's God's work. And I want to just encourage you guys to keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor LaSalle, for presenting this. Like Trustee Stoma said, or Trustee Vo, I'm sorry, we appreciate the work that you did to get all of these professors their insights and experiences with mentorship. One of my biggest mentors in my life was and is a Lone Star professor, so I can, definitely attest to the power of our faculty and staff here at this institution, and I'm happy to see it continuing, and hopefully I can be a part of it soon as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Mesa. And I did not give you proper recognition. I should have addressed you as doctor. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. LaSalle, I apologize. My notes had professor, so excuse me. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Great presentation. We'll now move to board members, trustees. Do you have any special reports or announcements? I'll start on the left. Trustee Murillo.
No special report.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kane.
As I've mentioned on previous occasions, I really enjoy the Academy for Lifelong Learning program. This month, and the coursework is so varied, and I compliment the college on having this program. This month had the pleasure of sitting in on a session, everything you ever wanted to know about the Vikings. And then every 2 weeks, we have a session called Fuss and Discuss. And we just toss out topics and have good discussion. So it's a program that benefits so many people. And I just can't say enough good things about it.
Good. Thank you, Dr. Kane. Trustee Mesa.
Yes, thank you. I want to just take a quick moment, and I'm sorry I didn't do this in the moment, but Dr. Prince, your Spanish is incredible. I want to give you a shout out. And also mention that I like that what we're doing as far as compensating students instead of looking for outside talent. I mean, we can't do any better than, rewarding and using our students to share their stories and to highlight the premier institution that we are. If y'all need a cameo from a trustee, I'll do it for free. And the last thing is that the last day to register to vote is coming up this month, April 26th, which is the last Monday of April. That's the last day to register to vote for the May 27 primary runoff. I think I'm getting one of those days wrong. But basically, the last day to register to vote is the last Monday of this month. And then the next major election for our county and our state is going to be the last Tuesday in May. And so someone can check those dates for me. But just a friendly reminder that there is another election. There's always another election. There's actually 2 more elections before that major one, but that's the big one that all of us will be able to vote in. And I hope that we can help in sharing the word. Not many people know about these runoff elections, and even fewer people vote in these runoff elections. So it's obviously extremely important for everybody to have their say. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Trustee Mesa. Trustee Stoma. Good. Thank you, Trustee Vogt. Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. I want to say, as the Chancellor mentioned earlier, I did attend the employee award ceremony, and it was really, really nice. It was a lot of people there. So I just thank Lone Star for doing that, to recognize the employees here and to let them know that their work is not unnoticed. I did also attend the Kingwood Scholarship Reception, and when I tell y'all, them kids, right, President Gonzalez, it was like almost standing room only. They had I think about 100 students that had scholarships. So I don't know, the presidents, I put y'all in competition. I said, we'll see who has the biggest, reception so far. But right now, Kingwood is A1 number 1. And then I also had the pleasure of attending the Texas Women in Higher Education Conference. And when I tell you, it was really, really nice. I learned a lot. And I kind of appreciate that Texas women have their own thing without the men. So it was really, really nice because we could really, really talk as women. So thank y'all for, Lone Star being a sponsor of that. So we were able to participate. So hopefully next year, a lot more women from Lone Star will be able to get on. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. I have one report for Lone Star College Foundation. Lone Star College Foundation is preparing for its annual Star Gala, as the Chancellor mentioned earlier, on May 2nd, 2026. This year's event will feature the inaugural Alumni Awards, highlighting the achievements of our outstanding graduates, in addition to raising funds for student scholarships and college programs. Additional information is available online. Lone Star College Kingwood recently hosted its foundation scholarship reception, celebrating donors whose generosity makes student scholarships possible. Scholarship receptions are being held across the remaining campuses throughout this month, continuing this important tradition of recognizing donor impact in student success. On behalf of the board, I'd like to express our sincere appreciation to all of our donors for their continued investments in our students and our communities. Thank you. We'll now do committee reports. I'll call on the committee chair. They can report. Trustee Murillo, Chair of Chancellor Goals and Evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Goals and Evaluation Committee met on March 23rd to discuss the 25-26 Chancellor's evaluation process. I don't have a report for open session this month. However, we will be providing an update to the board in closed session today.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Murillo. Next is grievance. Trustee Wilson. Thank you. Next is Committee on Committees, Trustee Kane.
No report.
Thank you. Next is community engagement, Trustee Mesa.
No updates, Chairman.
Okay. Next item, is technology. Next committee is technology, and Trustee Mesa, if you'd be kind enough to review the notes, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll just mention a few things. Cybersecurity OTS began implementation of a managed detection and response, MDR, email security solutions, extremely important to strengthen our proactive threat detection and email security capabilities. Always good to be keeping a vigilant eye out. And Wi-Fi upgrades at the Tomball campus are underway and are on track. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Mesa. Next committee is Appraisal District Matters, Trustee Kane.
No committee.
Okay, thank you. And last is Audit and Finance Committee. The Audit and Finance Committee has scheduled a meeting for April 28th for 3:30 p.m. We're requesting any related agenda items for that committee through April 20th, 2026. Ms. Cashman has also added items to the agenda, so we look forward to that.
Chair,
you.
if I may.
Yes, sir. Trustee
The,
Kane.
On behalf of Trustee Saldivar, I did want to report on the Policy
Yes, sir.
Review Committee. For this month, we had no policies on the agenda, but we do anticipate meeting soon for upcoming policy proposals.
Good. Thank you very much. Next is consideration of the consent agenda. We will now move forward with the consideration of our consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled for discussion and separate consideration? I'll start on my right, Trustee Stoma.
No, none to pull.
Thank you, Trustee Vogt.
No.
No items, Trustee Wilson. Thank you, Trustee Murillo.
Yeah, I do want to pull number 5 so we can.
Okay, number 5 has been pulled by the administration, so we're good there. Yes, sir. Thank you. Trustee Kane?
No.
Thank you, Trustee Mesa.
I would like to pull item number 6, please.
Number 6, yes, sir. So item number 6 is Trustee Mesa. 5 is admin. 7 is admin. So the following items have been removed from the consent agenda, items 5, 6, and 7. May I have a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, and 10?
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Mesa. I have a second by Trustee Wilson. When I state your name, please cast your vote. Trustee Wilson? Thank you. Trustee Stoma?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Murillo?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Vogt?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Kane?
Aye.
Thank you. And Sullivan votes aye. The items pass. We'll now pull in numerical order item number, let's see. We'll pull item 6 first. That's Trustee Mesa. Do I have a motion to consider item 6? I'll need a motion and a second before discussion.
So move.
Have a motion by Trustee Stoma. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Kane. Any discussion?
Yes.
Chair recognizes trustee Mesa.
Thank you. The reason I pulled this is because I want to have an honest and good faith discussion. I don't mean to spring anything on anybody here today, but I want to highlight and recognize the fact that we are keeping tuition the same rate, so there are no increases, just like last year, which is a great thing, I think. But in my view, a better thing would be to start looking at ways to lower tuition, even a small amount. And so I want to highlight the fact that our out of district and out of state tuitions are extremely high compared to the rest of our institutions are similar to your institutions in the state. So for comparison, out of district is the second highest in the state, and out of state is the sixth highest in the state. And so I just wanted to highlight that fact and express my viewpoint that in the future, not today, but in the future, I would like to work with my colleagues and think of ways that we might consider, if the board agrees, specifically lowering even a small amount our out of district and out of state tuition. And I welcome any comments or questions from my colleagues. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, trustee Mesa. Any other comments on this item?
I have a procedural question for Dr. Bien, if you don't mind.
If it's procedural, should we go to council? Should board council weigh in on procedure or? Yes, a procedural question would be more appropriate for staff resource or board council.
Yeah, I'm not sure what procedural question you mean, process and like the administration determining the rates or process?
Process of the administration determining the rates.
Okay, thank you. Floor is yours.
Okay.
One, what is the process specifically for the out of district and the out of state? One, what is the process for determining those? And two, during that process, do you have any type of sensitivity analysis to, as you adjust the rates to understand the impact to the budget and settle on a specific rate? I'm just trying to refresh what the process is.
Yes, so typically the rates are brought to the board during the January retreat for discussion at that time.
Right.
Obviously, this greatly impacts the budget, so it's something that we take very seriously into consideration. And so as the chair had mentioned earlier, or the trustee Mesa, that we haven't raised or modified tuition in a number of years. So we have not done it since I've been in this position. So I cannot speak to specifically the process that was done in the past, but the best to my knowledge, it was brought to the board. The board would discuss it, but there was an intentional decision as to them being such a divide, just so that there was a value proposition for our in-district taxpayers. So that is my understanding of the established process in the past as to why those gaps in the rate exist currently.
So if indeed we wanted to consider changing these at some point, when is the best time of the year for, say, a board member or board members to approach you or through the chancellor to consider changing these?
Yeah, my recommendation would be that that information come through Audit and Finance Committee as a process and allow that committee to ask the specific questions. Let us do the analysis. Let us bring that an informed conversation back to that committee, and then that committee bring it to the full board by January. So again, the sooner the better we could have those conversations. So I would not want to start that conversation later than this summer or early fall, bringing it to Audit and Finance Committee so they have proper time to vet and let us run any analysis that the board would like.
Okay, thank you. So trustee Mesa, does that help you, sir?
It does help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You might remain at the podium in case there are any
Yes, sir.
other questions. Chancellor, we have to vote on this item today. It's time sensitive. Could you walk us through that, please?
Yes, sir. As Dr. Bien said, it's essentially critical that this item get addressed today by the board because we build our entire tuition model on this getting approved in April. And so just, even if I remain neutral on sort of the tuition rate, there, like Trustee Stoma said, there's a window when it is most appropriate to bring this up, and respectfully, that window has passed for this item. As Dr. Vian said, well, we're happy to sort of take it up over the summer and the fall, so that everyone can approve transparently with eyes wide open exactly what the counterweight is to lowering tuition, because like every other thing with our budget, there are consequences. And so we want to make sure that the board is apprised of those consequences, that the administration is apprised of those consequences. And that's why I would recommend that the board approve the item with the understanding that we can take this up over the summer into the fall.
Sure.
And lastly, I will say that, I'll say that, like, Dr. Vian said, we have to provide a value to our taxpayers. And so I agree with Trustee Mesa that we have some of the highest international and out of district, but that is the value proposition to our local taxpayers. Because the closer those numbers get, the more our taxpayers can objectively start asking themselves, what is the value of paying taxes? If there isn't a delta between out of district and in district and international and in district. And so there are political considerations, there are economic considerations, and it is a deep policy decision. And so I would recommend that we take it nice and slow and start taking that up over the summer.
Yes, sir. Trustee Soma.
Yeah, Trustee Mesa, I agree with the chancellor on this, and I would say we probably need to approve these today, but it's not too early, as Dr. Vin has said, to start looking at this for next year. In fact, we're going to go into that budgeting process, for our next year's budget pretty soon. I mean, June or so. So that I would go ahead and raise the issue to the proper committee and start the conversation on this. And so Dr. Deanna and her crew can factor in and do some sensitivity analysis as to what we can do there. And that would be a responsible way of handling it, in my opinion.
Thank you, Trustee Stoma. Trustee Wilson.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Let me just say this. When we talk about, and I understand everything is going up, things are tight, but as a taxpayer, if you do for one, you have to do for all. You cannot forget that. And I understand we want other people from international, out of the state, out of district, but I agree with the chancellor. When you take the benefit away from people who are actually in district spending their money with us, the benefit of having that gap, it's going to be backlash. We don't need that, right? We have to be very mindful of taxpayers. And as a taxpayer, I would be very upset if somebody that's from out of state, out of the country, out of the district can come in and almost get the same benefit as me, somebody who's actually paying, right? I'm going to ask for a discount. If my child was in school and the numbers got close, well, that means y'all need to lower in-district tuition too, which then turns out what happens with the budget that depends on that funding. So we have to be very mindful of the things that we bring up, especially in public, because you don't want a mass parade of people coming in and saying, well, y'all talking about doing this, or you don't want that. We have to be very mindful of taxpayers and what they're hearing, because not everybody is going to interpret it the way you're interpreting it. They might interpret it different. You understand what I'm saying? So you just got to be mindful, but we have to get this passed for our students. Students are our number one priority here. That's it. Our students are our number one priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Mesa, has been a lot of comments.
Sure.
But Trustee Kane asked to be recognized. Yes. Sure, recognize Trustee Kane.
And I agree with all the statements that have been made across the board table. I think the key for me is to be sensitive to our taxpayers, to be sensitive to our students, and at the same time, to take a look at how we compare these rates to the other community colleges in the state of Texas. And I know we pride ourselves when it comes to in-district tuition of being below the average. Every time we see a graph, we pride ourselves, and we should. And I think what we're saying, at least what some of us are saying, is we have to be cognizant of the sensitivity to everybody, taxpayers, students, everybody. But at the same time, can we take another look to see how that 249 stacks up to the other community colleges, how that 313 stacks up to the other community colleges, and at the same time, how does all that factor into the master budget? And so I think there are a lot of things to consider. And perhaps when we take a look at the audit committee this summer, we can factor in all of the things that have been said at the board table here, all of which are incredibly important.
Thank you, Trustee Kane. Trustee Mesa?
Yes, thank you. I'll end with this. I, obviously respect and appreciate my colleagues' remarks and the chancellor's remarks. As far as consequences, I agree. There are consequences for everybody, but there's also consequences for our students. And our out of district and out of state students are still our students. And sure, they don't pay taxes, but they do pay taxes. They pay taxes when they pump gas to get up here. They pay taxes when they buy food on lunch, right? And even as I mentioned before, a minor decrease in this tuition rate might be an extra tank of gas for them, might be an extra meal for them. And so as far as value propositions, I obviously agree with that as well. That's important for, as Trustee Kane highlighted, that our in-state tuition is already quite low. And so I think even a small reduction in out of district and out of state, it won't hurt anybody. We're not taking money out of anybody's pockets. We're the second highest out of district. The first highest is Austin Community College. But guess what? They offer free tuition to their in-district students. We don't do that yet. So those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight and mention. I agree, we do need to be sensitive to taxpayers and students. And, students are first, but these are also our students, international, out of state, out of district. I work in public education. I work for a school district. Almost every day, I meet students who are, just recently, I texted the chancellor at a ungodly hour. I think it was midnight. And I was reviewing some scholarship applications for Aldine School District. And in the scholarship application, the student's essay, the student mentioned they're an international student. So they're paying 3 times as much as an in-district student. But this student is graduating from an Aldine high school, and yet they're still paying 3 times as much. So these are the people I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the taxpayers and our students as well, but I'm also thinking of people that we don't usually think of. And so that's where I'm coming from with this. And we lowered taxes already. We lowered property taxes already here in our institution. So when are we going to give these out of district and out of state students a break? We raised it in 23. We raised it in 24. I wasn't on the board yet. We didn't raise it last year. We're not going to raise it this year. That's great. But maybe next year we can lower it a tiny bit just to help them out and give them some relief, because like Trustee Wilson mentioned, everybody is struggling out here. We understand that. Our institution increased enrollment. We're going to hit 100K students in the fall. We're going to make, some increased revenue. The money's rolling in for us. And so when are we going to give these people even a small break? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Mesa, for your comments. Trustee Wilson.
Yeah, let me say this. You mentioned tax. They pay taxes when they pump gas, but that's not the same as tax when they pay property tax. Totally different tax, right? So I'm just saying, if you do for one, you have to do for all. When you do for all, you have to think of the consequences of the budget of the college, because now you're going to be taken from something else. And I understand we want to help out of district, international, out of state students. But at the same time, we have to think about the people who's actually making this college run, making it possible for the college to run, that invest their money into the college. You understand what I'm saying? It's not to say we don't want to help them, and I'm not saying we shouldn't help them, but at the same time, you can't help one set and don't help the other. We got to be equal across the board. You understand what I'm saying? So this could be further discussion somewhere else, but if you discussing it in public, we're gonna have it in public. You understand what I'm saying?
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. We've had good thorough discussion. Any additional comments? Looking left and right, Chair recognizes Chancellor.
Yep. So again, the administration for today remains neutral. To Trustee Stoma's point, all we're saying is if we can bring it up in due course, that's it. So that we can have these very erstwhile substantive conversations so that everyone understands what the trade-offs are. So for example, in a world where you want to lower tuition, if you're willing to keep the tax rate at the same rate or even raise the tax rate, well, that opens up more opportunities. If we happen to get more state funding under HB 8, that opens up opportunities. Another point that I'll just make is most of our enrollment is actually tied to dual credit on which we don't make any money. And so even though the enrollments might be growing, and this is an incredibly important factual point that we could talk about in audit and finance or in another area, is how much money are we actually getting as we sort of have these record enrollments that are not dual credit because we don't get as much money? What is the source of, I've actually litigated taxpayer standing all the way up to the Texas Supreme Court. So I'm a bona fide expert on source of taxes and revenues, and we're going to have that conversation. It's just today is the first time that we're hearing about this, and it's just too late for this item for the next year. And that's the only position that I'm taking. Substantively, I welcome the conversation. It's just too late in order for us to keep the trains running of this institution as we have been planning for months. That's the only position of the administration.
Thank you, Chancellor. Dr. Vian, let me ask this of you, if you don't mind. We've had our discussion. The board has stated different positions and philosophies. So to you and to the Chancellor, if you would, maybe prepare a compilation of the comments from today and create a timeline and send it to Audit and Finance to begin that discussion at the appropriate time. This is not a April 28th discussion for the committee. It already has its agenda. Maybe look at your January date, which you said, and kind of work back and then help us create a calendar and a timeline to evaluate Trustee Mesa's recommendation and request. And then also we'll have the door open for all other interest, if you will. But we'll take care of his concerns, his requests, and then we'll make sure that we have every other interest, be it whatever stakeholder it may be. I'll just put it that way. So if the Chancellor and you, Dr. Vian, would assist with that, then
Yes, sir.
I think it'll get us
Yes,
to
sir.
a
Yes, sir.
good point.
Understood.
Okay. With that said, seeing no further discussion, I'll now do a roll call vote on agenda item number 6, and watch me make sure I go through this properly because I have 5, 6, and 7. So this was 6. I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee, you'll be voting for, against, or abstain on agenda item number 6, which is to adopt the credit, tuition, and fees rates as given to us. Trustee Wilson? Thank you. Trustee Stoma?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa. Trustee Murillo?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Vogt?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Kane?
Aye.
Thank you. Sullivan votes aye. The item passes. And we'll now have, I'll need a little help procedurally here, Chancellor and Counselor. We have 5 and 7. And I think those are closed session items.
Yeah, well, they're going to be both, sir.
Okay.
It's just a matter of which do you want to go first.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding is as real estate items will be closed session discussion, and then these items will be brought back for action after closed session.
Okay. Do I call them now or call them after closed
After
session?
closed session.
Okay. So I then just move forward.
We move on with those
Monday.
2 items, 5 and 7 pending. They will be brought back after closed session.
Okay.
for discussion and action.
Okay. Trustees, we clear on that. We're going to go back, discuss, and then come back out in public and potentially vote on the items. Next on the agenda is financial report. Dr. Vian, now that you've taken your seat, would you mind coming back up and giving your financial report? And trustees, thanks for bearing with me while I work through these items.
Yes, sir. Apologize. We were right. So looking at the financial statements for month ended February 28th of 2026, as the trustees can see in front of us, we have received the second pay of our state appropriations, and it is reflected in the year-to-date revenues that you see there. So through month ending February, we have received a total of $83 million approximately in state appropriations. Just to remind the trustees, our first payment of October was 54.5 million, which was 50% of our allocation. We received the additional 25%, which is our second of the three pay in February at 28.4 million, which gives us the total appropriations of $83 million. You can also see that tuition and fees have tracked at the 135, really in line where we expect to be at this time. And taxes through February are at 246 millions, and which is typical of the February timeframe because it is typically when we start to receive tax collections in from our agency. So just showing you those updates for this month. When we take a look at total expenditures through February, we have 220 million in total expenditures, with of course the bulk of that going for salaries and benefits, with salaries representing $146 million, employee benefits at $21 million, and then services at 37 million. So those are our three highest expenditure categories through month end February. Taking a look at the revenues at a different framework and looking at how much of our revenues we've received in relation to total budgeted revenues. And so as of February 28th, we have received 87.4% of our total projected revenue for our budget for this year. So again, 479 million in total thus far of our $448 million in revenue projections. Taking a look at expenditures, our expenditures as a system continue to track downward as a representation of overall budget. So of our $529 million in budget expenditures, we've only spent $220 million year to date, representing 41.6% of our total budget through February. Taking a look at the financial statements, there are no significant variances to report at this point. You might note on there that we have received approximately 245 million in property taxes, which is our largest source of revenue, and that is now at 100% of what we had budgeted for that specific category. So we may obviously achieve over what we budgeted there, but I don't know that it's significant enough to report, but did want to highlight that because we will continue to receive some collections from that point. Taking a look at salaries, again, there are no significant variances to report in our budgeted expenditures through February. For the Board of Trustees, in your packet, you do have additional items for you that include the balance sheet, statement of revenues, summary of investments. So always happy to answer any questions the board has on those items. And then as a reminder, as we look at reserves, currently reserves sit at $212 million, and that value does not include the $101 million in board restricted reserves or set-asides that are also sitting aside for additional projects. Happy to answer any questions that the Board of Trustees may have at this time on our financials.
Thank you, Dr. Vian. Trustee Stoma?
None, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Vogt?
None.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Trustee Murillo? Trustee Kane?
None.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa?
No, sir.
I don't have any questions either. Thank you. Good report.
Thank you,
Next
sir.
item on the agenda is closed session. Board of Trustees, in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, will move into closed session under one or more of the following provisions: Section 551.071, Section 551.072, Section 551.074, Section 551.076, and Section 551.061. The time is 11:39 a.m. reconvene this board meeting at 12:51 PM. We'll now move forward with consideration of two items. I'd like to entertain a motion for combining agenda items 5 and 7 together. If I could get a motion for that, please. In a
So
second.
moved.
I have a motion by trustee Mario. May I have a second?
Second.
By trustee Stoma. Let me write that down, please. 5 and 7, and that was Murillo and Stoma. So we have a first and second. We'll now open the floor to discussion. I'd like to give the floor to the chancellor. And then we'll come to trustees if necessary.
Thank you, Chairman. I wrote an email earlier this week to all the employees talking about the budget. And one of the things that I wrote is, everyone kind of wants access to the cockpit of the airplane that we call OnStar College System. And then sometimes people get in there and they say, thank you so much. I'm going to go sit down at my seat and just get me from point A to point B. All that to say is welcome to the cockpit. So the first thing is that I want to make it clear that the way I view board agenda items and the way the law views them is that the granting of authority is not coextensive with the necessity of exercising that authority. And so what that means is that, for example, a few months ago, this board authorized me to spend nearly $20 million to buy a building for our Fallbrook location. We did not buy that building. We have no plans to buy that building. So just because the board authorizes me to do a thing does not mean that I am necessarily going to do that thing. There is a lot of due diligence that goes into those decisions before we make them. I also want to highlight that if my memory serves me correctly, in August of 2025, there was a board agenda item for a set aside that we brought that specifically enumerated that one of the grant authorities that was given to me by the board was to buy buildings. And so the argument could be made that I didn't even have to bring items number 5 and 7, that I could have used an agenda item from August or September of 2025 to buy at least one of these buildings. But consistent with what I've always communicated both to the public and to the Board of Trustees is that what we do out in the open, we do transparently, and we do in a way that is beyond question. So along those lines, that is why I made the decision to put action item number 5 and action item number 7 on the agenda. I also made the decision to ask both for the closed session discussion, which is the right of the institution. There are at least 4 Texas Government Code sections to discuss various matters from real estate to safety and security. And that's section 555.071 through 075, for example. And so the law enables us to discuss those matters in closed sessions for very, very serious reasons. Having said that, we can come up here and as well describe them for public consumption, because I agree with everything that has been said. Taxpayers have a right to know where their money is going. The institution has a right to know why we're making the decisions that we make them. And by making it actions items number 5 and 7, we manifest not just an ephemeral commitment to being transparent, but an actual action of being transparent. And so to that end, let me start with this. One of the concerns has been, do we have the money for this? Do we have the money to do this? Again, I just told you that really we just saved the college about $18 to $19 million in the last few months by not buying Fallbrook. So we're already almost $20 million up. We also have, for example, one of the things that I take to heart is, yes, we would like to lower tuition for students. Yes, we would like to keep property taxes low, homestead exemption. So one of the things that we have to do better as an institution is look for stranded assets, be more efficient with the money that we have, and make sure that when we have stranded assets that we surface them. So we have a really massive stranded asset right now, and that is about, by August, we will have about $6 million in TERS funding. If we don't use that $6 million, there's a high probability that we will lose it soon. So when faced with potentially giving up $6 million that could help this institution or not, I will always try to find a way to use that $6 million. And so for many years, going back probably at least one predecessor, perhaps as many as two, there has been a desire to divest ourselves of what we call at Lone Star the Health Professions Building, which is part of North Harris. And it's on Red Oak, and it houses a lot of our health occupations for North Harris. At the same time, we're also divesting ourselves of what we know as the Chi building, which is currently a lease, and a lease that we pay about $1 million a year. So when I became the chancellor, Dr. Lambert came to me and said, can we move the Chi folks to North Harris, which we're in the middle of doing. And there's been several agenda items signaling that the lease is ending to the public and to taxpayers. The goal there is to move those folks who, by the way, have represented to me that they feel like they were on an outpost and that they felt like they weren't part of the North Harris culture because they were too far removed geographically. They didn't like the idea of having to travel to the main campus. They didn't feel like they got information as rapidly as they otherwise would. And we don't own the building. And so we started moving those folks and they're moving over. So we're going to pick up $1 million from that lease. And so that $1 million then can be repurposed for livable wages for employees with no raised tuition, with no increased property taxes, with no decrease of the homestead exemption. We move $1 million to our lowest paid employees. At the same time, as we start to sort of renovate North Harris, there are roughly, when I became the chancellor, $150 million worth of deferred maintenance on our oldest and earliest college. $150 million of deferred maintenance. So when those buildings were built, about 15 to 20 years before I was even born, for context, the laws were very different, and what you could use, for example, with asbestos and things of that nature, were very different than the way they are today. So one of the things that we're learning as you go in there to renovate these buildings is that you run into a bunch of issues, and it's proving to be almost more expensive to renovate these older buildings than it is to just knock them down and start over. One of the increased vulnerabilities of North Harris is that, like in the early 70s, most of its buildings run off of one central plant. And so North Harris loses power quite regularly. And when it loses power, as we learned during Hurricane Beryl, you can't just essentially get a generator because you have to power the entire system. And so it is literally a fragile thing to have that entire campus on one generator, essentially, with the exception of Construction Skilled Trade Center. Now, as we begin to move people to North Harris, and we begin to look for places to put people while we renovate North Harris. So, for example, the Winship building, the Industrial Tech building, I personally went down there last week and met with the dean over that department. I said, you understand that if we start renovating, whether it's renovating or knocking down this program, this building, you guys can't be in this building. We have to have somewhere to put them because there's not a bunch of extra space at North Harris. And so as we move health professions, again, consistent with sort of two former chancellors, we can sell the fair market value of health professions building is $4.2 million. The Texas Children's Hospital, as the agenda item shows, is $5.9 million. Now, I've told you there's $6 million in TERS. So we can move the people from health professions building to the Texas Children's Hospital and pick up $4.2 million in capital, because the Texas Children's Hospital building will essentially be free if we use the TERS money. Now, the health professions building is not really a hospital. We turned it into that because that's what we needed. And like anything that any of us have done in our lives, when you turn something that wasn't made into something, it's not going to work as really well as the thing that was built for that particular purpose. So the plan is that the Texas Children's Hospital actually has pediatrics, dental. It's a full-blown hospital that has equipment that we need. And so instead of spending money on the equipment and a bill in another building, here's this $5.9 million building that we can use for health occupations. That is literally, imagine our students being trained in an actual hospital building. And who are the students that are going to be training there? Because we have them top of mind. Right now, out of Houston North, and I just confirmed this with Dr. Wright, we don't offer health occupations. And the reason we don't offer health occupations is not because we don't want to offer health occupations, by the way, a high demand field for students. It's because it's so expensive to have the startup of health occupations. Dental chairs alone, for example, can cost millions of dollars. And so now if we buy this building, Dr. Wright and Dr. Lambert can work together and they can offer health occupations at this location right at the intersection of Beltway 8 and 45, which is right down the street from Greenspoint Center. And so it's essentially a free building. We pick up the $4 million, and then what do we do with that? We also need perhaps another building, and that is the other agenda item. So when we were looking, actually, this is how this materialized. And this is all a matter of public record, and I'll represent to the board and the public. If you have a question, all you have to do is ask. That's all you have to do. And so when we were looking actually for 263, we came across 700. We weren't looking for two buildings, but we believe, and Dr. Vian and I agree, and so does Dr. Lambert, and so does Dr. Kishvala, because everything that we do at this institution is a collaborative and team-based game. We believe that the value of 700 North Sam Houston, action item number 7, is such that it would be almost negligent to pass it up so that Houston North students can have somewhere to have health occupations and North Harris students can have a real hospital. And Dr. Lambert also plans on offering in new programs some of the very equipment that we have in that building. So we find 263. Now, one of the questions that I've been asked over and over is, what do you plan to do with 263? And I love a good rumor as much as the next person. One of the really sad things is that, when you become the chancellor, you or you should know the answers. And so rumors come to die because you usually know the truth. And so there are multiple plans for 263. There is a world, for example, where we use it to house our, as I'm calling them, our refugee, Winship, and industrial tech employees while we renovate those buildings or demolish them and build new buildings. We could make a more serious commitment to Houston North and say Houston North students deserve a cafeteria, just like every other main campus and every other college in this system. 263 has a giant cafeteria. It's actually 10,000 square feet larger than the Greenspoint Center right now. So I've told the board before, I'm the chancellor, but this is a team. And on this team, every single person contributes to that. And so part of the strategic direction of this institution under the direction of the chancellor and the executive vice chancellor of academics is asking the presidents, Dr. Wright, what do you believe should happen at Houston North? You are the expert. Dr. Lambert, what do you believe should happen at North Harris? Dr. Morales, what do you believe should happen at LSE Online? And so we could also use it, for example, one of the existential threats of our generation is proctoring of online exams. We've been piloting, I believe, a very successful initiative in proctoring online exams. If we were to want to do that at scale, where would we do it right now? The answer is we don't have anywhere to proctor 30,000 students. And if we make a serious commitment, as I intend to do, to double, triple, quadruple LSE online, where will those students be proctored? And to be clear, because again, this is where where rumors go, there's no plan to have those online students come in person. The plan is to have the proctors be in person so that our online students can remain online. And we can give our partners at the universities confidence that when we give someone an A, it is an A that was earned, that they have constant mastery. Because we believe not just in student success, but we believe that people should do the work like our website says. And consistent with doing the thing, we have to figure out a way to administer exams at scale for an institution as large as ours. So it could be a testing center. It could also, for example, house the expansion of LSE online. And let me be very clear, because again, I think I do a pretty good job, if I do say so myself, of keeping in contact with everybody. And I understand what the concern is. So let me address some things head on from LSE Online in front of the board on recording on the public record. There really is no plan to ask the faculty or the staff to drive over to 263 anytime soon. 263 will not be ready at least for 2 or 3 years, is what Dr. Johnson tells me, our head of facilities and operations. So at the very least, whatever we end up doing with this free building, budget neutral building, and it's tomato, right? I could tell you that we're going to use the $6 million from TERS to buy this building or the other one. We can afford both on free money. But at the very least, I can represent to you that it'll be budget neutral. And so this budget neutral building, what are we going to do with it? I frankly don't know yet. But I know that we will use it for one of those 4 things: the expansion of LSE Online, perhaps the new headcount that Dr. Morales needs to get us from where we are to where we want to be, perhaps a greater footprint for Greens Point and a true commitment to Houston North to give it a main campus that it deserves. Perhaps we use it for testing to increase our academic integrity. Or perhaps we use it simply as a staging area for North Harris employees while we renovate their buildings. But anything that we do, we will do collaboratively, we will do transparently, and my board has the commitment that no one will be forced to move without due course, due time, and conversations. And again, at the very least, these buildings will not be ready for at least a year or 2. Because we're not just going to put employees in buildings that I would not sit in myself. And so at the end, if this all goes well, we're playing chess at Lone Star College, not checkers. And we will end up with capital investment surplus that we can then turn around and maybe renovate North Harris with. Maybe we give more of our employees a livable wage. Maybe we give competitive wages. But at the very least, we'll be better stewards of the taxpayer money that we have. And so with all of that, let me reiterate, we will end up with more capital than we have right now. We will end up with more square footage than we have right now. This is not a geographic expansion, as was said earlier, because we are going to divest ourselves of the Chi building, the HPB building. And so it will be a building neutral growth, and we will use money more wisely, which is what we owe the employees and the taxpayers of this institution. With that, Chairman, thank you. I welcome any questions from the board, but I would advocate strongly that the board approve actions item number 5 and 7 based on that.
Thank you for walking us through that. I was going to start on my left to ask each individual trustee for comments. Trustee Murillo.
No comments. Support it.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Kane. Thank you, Trustee Mesa.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stoma.
Yeah, I want to say I wholeheartedly support this endeavor. I want to congratulate the chancellor and his senior staff for seeing the entrepreneurial opportunity here, because it is one. It's entrepreneurial. You saw the opportunity, now you're acting upon it, and that's leadership. I want to commend the presidents and the senior staff for you. You guys are really becoming a performing team, really performing team, which is exhibited in outstanding organizations. No more is command and control, is command and control rule, except maybe when you're conquering a country. But in business and education, it's the collaboration that counts. And it's the collaboration, whether you agree or disagree, that you have this open and honest discussions amongst you, and you come to a decision. You come to, if it has a compromise, it's a compromise. But the point is, you make your decisions and you get on with it, and not let it, engulf you in paralysis. I have watched this large team. I'm going to call all of you a team because you are. For now going 8 years, and you've evolved, significantly evolved. And I want to compliment you. You are on the right direction, and you should stay there and get better. As you get better, this system will get better, and we will serve the taxpayers and the students as we should. I support this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stoma. Trustees vote. Okay. Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Thank you. Chancellor, good work. To your team, good work. Thank you for bringing this to us. Restate where we are. These combined items 5 and 7. Motion by Trustee Murillo, seconded by Trustee Stoma. I'll now do a roll call vote. Trustee Wilson. Thank you. Trustee Broussard is absent. Trustee Stoma.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Mesa.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Murillo.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Vogt. Thank you. Trustee Kane.
Aye.
Thank you. Sullivan votes aye. The item passes. Next item on the agenda, any suggested future agenda items? Looking to my right, my left, no future agenda items other than what we committed to for Trustee Mesa. And we're on top of that. We'll continue to move that forward. With no further business to discuss, this board meeting is now adjourned at 1:14 p.m. Thank you.